All right, this is part two, guys. So yeah, you need to make sure Peter, Guillermo del Toro, or Mel Gibson and all of them, and John Favreau are prepped. That way, you get a good movie, and you don't get something messy happening like The Hobbit. Because even though the Hobbit trilogy was pretty good, it was a bit of a mess. Obviously, you can tell there's some sections where the dialogue wasn't that great. The stories, the plot's a bit messy sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Some sections of the plot are a bit messy. Yeah, obviously. Ivan, what do you think's bad? I don't know, the love triangle with Toriel and what and Legolas and that good looking dwarf is unnecessary. You don't need that in the movie, obviously. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, obviously. Yeah, yeah, obviously. Like Peter, I don't want something messy happening like your Hobbit trilogy, whereby you winged it for the three movies and you got something messy happening like the Battle of Five Armies. The Battle of Five, yeah, Peter, you're winging it caught up to you, and hence why Battle of Five Armies was a mess and it wasn't that great of a movie. It was not a good movie, you see what I'm saying? It was a bad movie. There's some people who like it, but I did not like it. I personally did not like the movie. When I saw it in theaters, I was bored, man. I was, oh my god, this movie's terrible. I was bored. I'm not kidding around. I remember when I saw it on theaters, Battle for Armies, I was very bored watching it. It was bored. Whereas Destiny of Smog, I enjoyed a lot on theaters. That was very fun to watch on theaters. I was very entertained. That was pretty good. I did not see Unexpected Journey on theaters, but I saw the other two on theaters. I remember watching on theaters back in December of 2013, I believe. Yeah, Christmas 2013. I remember after Christmas, I saw the movie on theaters. You know what I'm saying? And I remember I bought yeah, I saw it in theaters obviously, and I remember I didn't like Battle of Five Armies. I thought it wasn't that good of a movie. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, oh my god, this movie. What part was very cheesy? I don't know. The one scene where you saw the orc army, and you see Thorin and the dwarves. You see Thorin and like 13 dwarves charging towards the army. I'm like, oh my god, that's so silly. What are these 13 fucking dwarves gonna do against an army of orcs? That part was silly. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it was very silly, obviously. And then the war was bad, man. The war was cheesy, too computery. The fake dwarf king. You know what I'm saying? You had that lighting, the fake, the what? A hardcore CGI computer look. I didn't like. That's why I'm gonna tell Peter, please. I know you love CGI. I'm not a fan of that full CGI look like what you got for the fucking Battlefield armies, man. If you do that, Zanes will flop. It will not be good. It will not be. Peter, if you have Zanes be flawed in CGI, the movie won't be as good, man. I'm telling you right now. If you have that Hobbit look, the movie won't be as good. It'll be a pretty good movie. It'll be, I don't know, it might be a 7 out of 10, 6 out of 10 movie. But I can't see Zanes beating Lord of the Rings if you have it full on CGI like The Hobbit. It will not. If you have Ayrton a full on CGI wolf, you know what I'm saying, looking like a werewolf or something like that, and you have the orcs be full on CGI characters, and you have that full on CGI computer look, the movie won't be as good as his Lord of the Rings. You have to have it look something like Pandora and Middle Earth, except it looks natural, like what you got for the Lord of the Rings trilogy. You know how Lord of the Rings trilogy, the world looks a lot more natural? Yes. You need to have that natural look. That way you what? Build big sets and you apply the special effects CGI towards those sets. And your world will look amazing. Think about it. For two towers for Fangoon Forest, you know what I'm saying? They built some small set. They only had like 6 trees and they had a blue screen. And yet when you saw Two Towers, Fangoon Forest looked pretty good, obviously. But it looked a little bit computery when you saw Pippin and them climbing on top of Treebeard. You saw the background, you can tell it looked a little bit cheesy because it was full on CG. Yeah, CGI is good. It makes your world look amazing, but you need to mix it with your big sets. That way you get the natural look. But the CGI will make will fill in the gaps and make your world look really amazing. But because I built big sets, my world will look very natural. Like the end of Unexpected Journey when you saw when you saw the eagles flying over the mountains. You know what I'm saying? You saw the trees and you saw the mountains. The end of Unexpected Journey, yeah. If you want a world looking like that, you need to build big sets and also mix the beauty of Switzerland with your movie, like Peter Jackson did for Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. You can tell there's some scenes when they filmed on location. You tell there's some scenes when they use practical effects. You can tell the scenes when they use more CGI effects, obviously. You see what I'm saying? The way your world looks natural. know what I'm saying? People are like, Ivan, you don't want to use CGI? No, Peter, I want to use CGI, obviously. I want to use CGI. We need CGI to make the world look amazing, obviously, but let's mix it with big sets. That way the world looks more natural. Peter, I want the world to look amazing, obviously, better than Pandora, but I want it to look natural. Tell him that the way he knows, and tell what a digital that way they know. Guys, I want my world looking natural. I don't want it looking computery. Ivan, like, what do you mean? Like, guys, like, add in the special effects, make the world look amazing. You know what I'm saying? But like, make sure you what the world looks more natural. Like the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Okay, got it, Ivan. What's you just saying? Yeah. That way what? I know what I'm doing. That way you get a better movie. You have Zayn's look more natural, and you have Eretz and the Devils. You'll get a better movie than the full-on CGI wolves and bats, and a full-on CGI world. You see what I'm saying? Remember when you see the flashbacks of the war, Thorin's father fighting Azog and all stuff, it looked very computer and cheesy. Yes, man, if you have full-on CGI, it'll look cheesy like that, hence why you do not have full-on CGI wolves and bats. Hire actual extras to play the demon beings, obviously, and have them all wear masks. That way they look natural, but they look 3 times scarier than even what you got for the orcs in The Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, and Pennywise the Clown, and that devil being Annabelle. That way you get a good movie. That way you get a good movie, see what I'm saying? That way you get a good movie. I know what I'm doing, guys. Trust me. That way you get a good movie. See what I'm saying? That way you get a good movie. And you don't get a bad movie, you see what I'm saying? That way you get a good movie. That way you get a good movie. You see what I'm saying? Hence why I love watching Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit trilogy, because it gets me pumped up for Zanus. Because the closest thing to my kind of story is Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings is a fantasy world, Middle Earth, just like Zanus is a fantasy world too. You have the North and the South, the Upper Lands and the Lower Lands. You have the North and you have the South, and the North is wholly like Rivendell. Ivan, what's a good example for the North? The best example I can give you for the North is Rivendell. You know how Rivendell looks very holy and beautiful? Yeah, that's the best example I can give for Rivendell, obviously. Where the South is cursed. It is cursed. Think something like that picture I showed you in my video. That has its darkest atmosphere. Like Isengard. This darkest blue atmosphere, and all the orcs live there. It's cursed, the South. It's a curse. It's cursed, obviously. It's the animal kingdom. That's where all the demonic beings live. Imagine having, 30,000 wolves living in Barak, and they're all demons. They all live in Barak, and you imagine a planet on the screen. Eretz, the king of Barak. He has this huge, pavilion tent. He's a king. He sits on a silver chair. He's a king of the South. I can't see The Hobbit or Lord of the Rings topping that. Zanus will guaranteed top The Hobbit, obviously. But Lord of the Rings will be very, very close. It'll take it out by a slim margin. Obviously. Whereas The Hobbit will beat out The Hobbit, obviously. As The Hobbit trilogies weren't great. They were okay. They were pretty good. I saw Unexpected Journey yesterday. And I saw Destiny and Small today, obviously. They were entertaining movies, obviously, but they're not. It's not going to be as good as Zanus, you know what I'm saying? As the Hobbit movies were a little bit of a mess. Because Peter Jackson winged it. Whereas Lord of the Rings, you can tell Peter Jackson was prepped. He knew what he had to do for every scene. I saw him behind the scenes directing all the actors. He knew what he was doing. Because he prepped himself, obviously. Just like for Zanus, he will prep himself too. Hence why my last movie will be an amazing movie, obviously. That's what I'm saying. Hence why Peter Jackson's going to want to get his hand on my story so bad. He's going to want to get his hands on my story so bad, Peter Jackson. He wants to figure out who he's so bad. I want to get my hands on this story. I even wrote a masterpiece. Yeah, man. Eretap, the king of the South. Think about that for a second. So you have the North, which is pretty much the human kingdom, right? The North is pretty much the human kingdom, pretty much. That's where all the humans live. The Northerns. The Northerns live the human kingdom, obviously. Whereas the South is the animal kingdom, but the Southerns, who are humans, live in the animal kingdom. You see what I'm saying? That's where the kind of masters I wrote. Yeah, they live in the animal kingdom. They live in Eretat's region, pretty much. Eretat's the king of the South, but he doesn't rule the Southerns. You know what I'm saying? Just like that Goblin King in Unexpected Journey, he's the king of the mines, obviously, but he doesn't rule. He doesn't rule what Raz the Brown. Raz the Brown lives near that area. He doesn't rule that what? He doesn't rule that. He doesn't rule the trolls who live nearby, and he doesn't rule the what? Razagast the Brown, who lives nearby too in the forest. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, but that goblin's still the king of the mines. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, so I'm gonna keep saying this so you guys don't get confused. Even though Aratat's the king of the South, guys, he does not rule the Southerns. But he rules the Southern Kingdom, obviously. But he doesn't. He's not. He doesn't rule. He doesn't rule the Southerns. Eli is the leader of Sapphists. They have their own custom laws, and the Syrians have their own custom and laws. But they all know, the Southerns all know Aratat is the king of the South. They know he's a king back. They know he's a king wolf, the king devil wolf king in the South, obviously. Have they seen him? No, the Southerns have not seen Aratat. Aratat did not mark the lands, the wolves did not mark the lands in the past generations. Not until Takis is born. That's when he decided to mark the lands. Just like in Fellowship of the Ring, the hobbits, the Shire is in Middle Earth. The hobbits live in Middle Earth, obviously. You know what I'm saying? None of Sauron's forces have touched the Shire. Not until Frodo, they find out Frodo has a ring. They journey to the Shire, obviously. Yeah, similar example you can get from my book. That way you're not confused. You see what I'm saying? So the Southerns know Aratat is the king of the South, obviously, but they see him as legend, obviously, because only horrid stories were told about Dovahkiin in the South, obviously. But they know the wolves live in Barak, obviously, but most of the Southerns have never seen the wolves. They've never seen Aratat. Aratat did not mark the South yet. You see what I'm saying? I don't want to spoil the story for you. I even wasn't landmarking. You'll see that when you read the book. Aratat has not marked the South yet. It's not until Takis is born that's when he decides he marks the lands. Because Takis' generation is a lucky generation. You know what I'm saying? Look at the matches that I wrote. Yeah, man. And Ephesus is the king bat of the mountains. He is the king bat of the mountain regions. Obviously. Just like in Return of the King of the army of the dead, obviously, he's the king of those mountains, obviously, right? In Return of the King, yeah, similar to the example to Ephesus. Ephesus is the king bat of the entire mountain region. That is his region. He's the king bat of the mountains in the south. So Aratat has a slightly higher rank than Ephesus. Ephesus is powerful, obviously, but he's not as powerful as Aratat. Aratat is the king of the south, but he's not the king of the entire south, though. Because the moment you journey through the Western Gilead Mountains, you are now in Ephesus territory, and he is the king bat of the mountains. There's even a scene in Volume 3, Aratat's like, don't go to those mountains, that's where the bats live. You know what I'm saying? That is not my territory. You know, I'm paraphrasing here. He doesn't say those exact words in the book, but in the movie I might have him say that. Never linger there. You know what I'm saying? That's where all the bats live. You know what I'm saying? That's where all the bats live. That is not my region. You know what I'm saying? I knew the bats and wolves hate each other. The bats and wolves are not the bestest of friends, obviously, but they all have a common enemy. They hate the humans more. You see what I'm saying? They hate the humans more, obviously. Just like what? The orcs of Saruman are not really the best of friends with the orcs of Mordor, pretty much, right? The orcs of Isengard are not really the best friends of the orcs of Mordor, but they all have a common enemy. They hate the hobbits. They hate men. And they hate the elves. You see what I'm saying? They hate them more. Similar example there. Even though the wolves and bats are not the bestest of friends, obviously, they hate the humans much more than they hate each other. Than they don't like each other. They don't hate each other, but they're not the bestest of friends, right? You'll see when we read the book. The wolves and bats are not the bestest of friends, but they have a common enemy. They hate the humans the most, obviously. Why they hate the humans the most? I don't want to spoil the story. You'll see when we read the book, man. And they hate Takis the most. Because Takis is a prince of the north. He's the heir to the northern throne, man. The northern kingdom, obviously. Just like Scar envies Simba, because Simba is the rightful heir. Aratat is the king of the south, and Ephesus is the king by the mountains. The king of the ancient Gilead city. They all hate Takis a lot, and they envy him too. Why do they envy Takis? Because Takis is the prince of the north. That's all I'm going to say. Takis is a prince of the north. He's the heir to the northern kingdom, man. That's why they envy him the most, obviously. So think about it. Aratat's a king, Ephesus is a king, and they even then they still envy Takis. Because Takis is a prince of the north. The prince of the northern kingdom. I don't want to spoil the story. He goes back in the answers. I don't want to spoil the story for you. Yeah. That's what kind of masters that I wrote, man. Yeah, man. That's why Peter Jackson will have so much ideas for my movie, man. Ivan, I have so much ideas for your movie. You know what I'm saying, with Eratat, Ephesus, and all them. I have a lot of ideas for your movie, Ivan. It will help me out a lot. Help me correct the script. It'll help me with the dialogue. Hey, Peter, I need you helping me with the dialogue. Ivan, I'll help you. Don't worry about it. You know what I'm saying? And Peter Jackson helps me out. Okay, Ivan, let's write. Okay, Ivan, let's write your movie. You know, I'm saying Peter's all excited. I'm saying we have a coffee. Peter has his coffee in his hand. I have my coffee, and we work on the book. We work on the movie, obviously. So how it'll work is whenever I start writing my script, I will have my book right beside me. I'll have my book right beside me, obviously. That way we can go over each scene very carefully, and we can just write the script, obviously. And I'm gonna have my notes too. My notes I took with Vijay right beside me, that I studied, obviously, and that way I can have some good ideas for my story, the changes that should be made, all that stuff. Okay, let's add more scenes with the Eagles, Peter. You know what I'm saying? Let's add more scenes about with the prologue with Tactius to make it more interesting. Yeah, we can do that. We add more scenes with the prologue, add more scenes with the Eagles, add more scenes with Eratat, for Famia when Fuful's born, Famia the Queen of Barak, Eratat's wife, obviously. Once she gives birth to Fuful, we can have more scenes with Famia before she gives birth to make it more interesting, the prologue more interesting, obviously. I don't want the prologue to be too long. I'll have the prologue be a good 40 to 50 minutes. 45, 40, 50 minutes. We tell the story of Tactius the first, and I'm saying, and Tactius the second, his son's birth, obviously. Then you transfer 8 years to when Tactius is an 8-year-old boy. And that's where looking at a massive story that I wrote, man. Yeah, man. You get this nice music, Tactius running when he's a kid, and you get this slow motion. I'm going to tell the editors, look, man, I want some slow motion when Tactius runs. Tell Peter, hey, Peter, I want to see when Tactius runs, and you get this like slow motion, you get this beautiful music. He's running, he's a prince of the north, yeah, innocent kid who doesn't know about double walking, yeah. Like you get that Jesus vibe, young Messiah Jesus vibe. That way Peter knows. And that's how I want Peter watching young Messiah with me. That way he can get some good ideas for young Tactius. Yeah, no, I have a lot of good ideas for the movie now, yeah. Help Peter out, obviously. That way he's prepped, obviously, and you get an amazing movie, obviously. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? The south is cursed. The sky is gray, bluish, obviously, and the sun sets faster in the south, where the sun sets slower in the north, because the south is cursed. So in the south, the sun will set, it gets darker faster, whereas in the north, it gets darker slower, obviously, because the south is cursed. Even the constellations like the sun and the moon everything is cursed in the south. Hence why what? Because everything in the south, everything associated in the south is cursed, except for the Southerns. Except for the Southerns and the animals in Cyrus. The animals in Cyrus are not cursed. Because it goes back to Osiris and Sapphias, they're not cursed. Obviously. So the animals, is that Plalo? No, it's not really a Plalo. If you think about it, like it goes back to Osiris and Sapphias. The animals in the farmland in Cyrus are not cursed animals. They're normal animals, obviously. Whereas the animals in the forest and all that stuff, like the snakes, wild stags, those animals are all cursed. And the wild crows are all cursed. They're evil animals. They're either evil or they look evil. So the stags don't kill people, but the stags have the formed faces and all that stuff, because the south is cursed. They have like the formed faces and all that stuff, yeah. Because everything associated in the south is cursed, man, yeah. Obviously. All the demonic wolves, the demonic bats, the crows, the wild crows, Eratat's crows, the snakes, they're all cursed beings, except for the Southerns. The Syrians and the Sapphians are not cursed, but they live in the cursed south. The Southerns know that the south is cursed. They find out that the south is cursed. Eventually, obviously, they find out that the south is cursed, but they know what? They know the south is different than the north. They know the north is beautiful. They know the north is beautiful, obviously. Obviously. They call it the heavenly kingdom. Some of the Southerns call it the heavenly kingdom. Yeah, they know the north is beautiful, and they know the south is not as beautiful as the north. That's all the Southerns know. But they find out the south is eventually cursed later on in Volume 3. They all find out the south is cursed, obviously. You know what I'm saying? But like when Tactius arrives to the south, he's shocked. He's like, holy shit. He's like, holy shit. He's like, the South is different than the North. Yeah, he's shocked. You know what I'm saying? When Cassius and Tacitonius and all them arrive to the South, they're shocked. You know what I'm saying? Like Tacitonius is like better is the North. You know what I'm saying? Because Tacitonius is sarcastic, obviously. You know what I'm saying? And Cassius talks to his 50 men, obviously, before they fight for Fool and all them. He's like, yeah, he's like, this is Aratat's territory. This is his domain. You know what I'm saying? We are in his territory. I mean, he is the king of this region. Yeah. The moment the Southerners are now in the South, they all know they're now in Aratat's region, Aratat's territory, and he's like outside. He's outside the walls. We are the prey. They are the predators. We're not safe in the South. Yes, the Southerners know that whenever Cassius and Suetonius and his 50 men enter the South, obviously, and you get the mist in the sky. I don't describe a mist in the book, but in the movie, I'm gonna have like a mist in the sky. And then once the mist disappears, they're in a different atmosphere, and they're in the South, obviously. They all know they're in Aratat's region, they're in Aratat's territory, and they know they're not safe. They know they're not safe in the South, obviously. But the reason why, if they're not safe, why are they in the South? Because they're looking for Tactius. Tactius left the walls. It's all I'm gonna say. I don't want to spoil sorcery. Cassius and Testonius are looking for, and his 50 men are looking for Tactius, because Tactius he broke the rules and he left the walls. You see what I'm saying? That's what looking at maps that I wrote, man. Yeah, man. That's how Peter Jackson. Ivan, yeah, Ivan, man. In other words, once Peter Jackson reads my book, he's gonna have that smirk on his face. Okay, I don't know. He buys my ebook for like $22. You know what I'm saying? He reads it on his laptop. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? He reads on his laptop. You know what I'm saying? Peter Jackson's like, hey, let's see how good Ivan's book really is. You know what I'm saying? Ivan's so fucking cocky, man. You know what I'm saying? He's been bragging for years, saying that his book is better than J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings. Who does he think he is? J.R.R. Tolkien is a father of fantasy. He's a god of fantasy. Nobody can beat his fantasy series. You know what I'm saying? All you Lord of the Rings nerds are like, oh my god, Ivan's so cocky. He thinks his Last Rosanian story is better than Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings by a slim margin. So even though I said my movie will be better, I say it's better by a slim margin. Because it's very tough to top Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings. You know what I'm saying? He thinks his book is better than J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Peter Jackson, he reads my book. I mean, he buys my book, obviously, for $22. His chances are most people are going to buy the ebook because no one wants to wait like a week or 2 weeks for my book, man. And so, okay, I'll just buy the ebook and read on my laptop. It's cheaper. You pay your cheap $22. You read my book, obviously. You know what I'm saying? And Peter Jackson, he reads, Peter Jackson, he reads my book, obviously. Let's see how good Ivan's book really is. Fucking cocky dude Ivan thinks his book is better than fucking J.R.R. Tolkien's book. He thinks his movie will be better than my movie. Who does he think he is, man? Ivan has some serious balls to say that. All you movie critics in Hollywood are like, oh, Ivan, you have some serious balls to say your movie will be better than Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings. You know what I'm saying? And then Peter Jackson, he reads the prologue. Oh my god, this is pretty interesting. The North, the South. You know what I'm saying? This is pretty interesting, you know what I'm saying? Prologue's pretty good. He reads chapter 1 on Takis. Oh my god, this is pretty interesting. Takis is a kid. He doesn't know what's outside the walls. He doesn't know about Eretad Dalwoken. You get to 22 years later, when Takis is like 30 years old. 22 years later, he's 30 years old, obviously. You know what I'm saying? He leaves the walls, and Peter Jackson's like, holy shit, this book is sick. This is interesting. I don't know, Peter Jackson orders his takeout. Yeah, this book is fucking sick. I'm enjoying a lot more than J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings. Even though Lord of the Rings has better world building and it's richer speech, I mean, Ivan's book is more interesting to read. Yeah, it's more interesting to read, you know what I'm saying? And before you know it, I don't know, he binges all of Volume 1 in that one day. And one day, and all you Lord of the Rings nerds, you binge Volume 1 in one day. You're like, holy shit, this book is sick. Man, when Ivan said his book is better than Lord of the Rings, he's right. I am enjoying Ivan's book a lot more than I am Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings is a drag to read, yeah. And holy shit, Ivan's a good fucking storyteller. He knows how to create good dialogue. He knows how to keep the story flowing, keep the story pacing. Ivan's a gifted storyteller. Yeah, my God gave me a gift. I know how to tell a good story. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, and before you know it, Peter Jackson, he reads Volume 2. Volume 2 is even more interesting when Takis and them meet Lithia. When Tacitonius and Cassius' 50 men, they fight for Fool and his 25 wolves. You know what I'm saying? Before and his 25 wolves, obviously. For Fool and his 25 wolves. You see what I'm saying? Fooling 25 Wolves, obviously. And he keeps reading, and it gets more interesting. You get the Capture chapter, the Lithia chapter, Takis or Colonials. Holy shit, this is sick. Landing Chaos, the politics with Aratat and Queen Sarah. You have politics with Aratat and Barack. Obviously, Ivan, what's the politics about? It has something to do with the land markings. He's like, should we mark? Is it time, my wolves, to mark the South fully? You know what I'm saying? The army agrees to mark the South. Yeah, that's land and chaos. And you also have politics with Queen Sarah in Zanus. The whole city is in chaos because what? They haven't seen Takis in a couple days, and Sarah and them are covering it up, saying that Takis is sick of a fever, when in reality Cassius and them went to look for him. Yeah, that's pretty much the politics in what in Latin chaos. And there's more to the story, but I don't want to spoil story for you, obviously. And then you ended off with Excess of Safians when the Safians leave Barack, something like Prince of Egypt. You know what I'm saying? And Peter Jackson's like, holy shit, this book is sick. You know what I'm saying? Ivan's an amazing storyteller. Holy shit, I didn't know his book would be this good. I thought, like, you guys probably think, oh, Ivan's book will be okay, it'll be not bad. But once you read, like, holy shit, Ivan's a fucking gifted writer, man. Like, he knows how to tell a good story. Yeah, man, I was born with a gift. God gave me a gift. I know how to tell a good story. Guys, I have my 4 movies planned out, guys. I already know what I want my 4 movies to be about. They're unique, The Great Escape, and what? And him, I have a lot of ideas for that movie. Obviously. There's a high chance for The Great Escape. They're unique. And for The Great Escape, I might not write that. I might hire a more professional to write that. I might hire maybe 2 screenwriters to co-write with Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, my director. And I'll just tell them my layout of my story and give them some ideas and they can write it. You can write the story, obviously. Because CIA shit's complicated, man. But I'm scared if I'm not involved, the movie won't be as good, man. Because I have the creative gift, obviously. That's why I'll just co-write it. That way what? That way, because I have the stories planned, it's best that I have some input in the writing. But I might hire a screenwriter who wrote John Wick 3 or like Casino Royale to help me and my director and Jon Favreau only write that script. Because CIA shit's complicated, man. You need to really be prepared for that stuff. And I want to write a really, really good script for The Great Escape. But going back to Zanus, enough about The Great Escape. Because I'm more excited about Zanus, obviously, right? Zanus is only a couple years from now. Yeah, man. I forget what I talked about. Yeah, and then Peter Jackson reads Volume 3. You know what I'm saying? Holy shit, Volume 3 is even better. But he might like Volume 2 better. Some of you guys might like Volume 2 better than Volume 3. Some of you guys might like Volume 3 better than Volume 2. But I personally like Volume 3 a little bit better. Volume 3 takes the edge by a slim margin. It's close. As Volume 2 is like just as good as Volume 3. But like Volume 3, because you get the mature Tactius and the story really kicks in, the big climaxes, I like Volume 3 better. By a little bit. But Volume 2 is close, man. It's a close second. And Volume 1's the worst. Because Volume 1 is pretty much the beginning of the story, right? Obviously. And Peter Jackson reads Volume 1. You know what I'm saying? The X, when all of Safians are journeying through the cursed Western Glades Mountains. They fight the Takis and fight the Jaguars, and they journey through the ancient Glades City. They camp there. There's a bunch of doors. They see the big city, the big pillared city in the ancient Glades City. There's a bunch of doors. And there's 3 doors that stand out. And like Papyri, Cassius, and Takis check out those 3 doors. And that's when Takis and them meet Ephesus. That's when Takis meets Ephesus. And that's when you get the big climax of the story. And like Peter Jackson's like, holy shit, this story got interesting. This book is sick. You know what I'm saying? All you Lord of the Rings fans are like, holy shit, this book is sick, man. Oh my god, I didn't expect this. Yeah, that's why I like Volume 3 the best, I'm saying. Oh my god, Ivan knows how to tell a good story, man. This is sick. Like, Ivan's taking me for a ride, man. Yeah, man. You keep reading. You finish that chapter, obviously. That's when Takis grows his beard. I won't spoil the story for you. You're now in chapter, what? Chapter 11. The Secret Council, Surprising Arrival. That's pretty interesting, obviously. You know what I'm saying? With Meramis, Queen Sarah, Lithius, and Baramis and all of them. And Takis and them are heading to Zanus, obviously. And you get to Walking with the Ancestors, which you can argue is the best chapter in Volume 3. Walking with the Ancestors, in my opinion, is probably the best chapter in the whole book. I like Walking with the Ancestors the best. You can argue the first chapter of Volume 3 is the best, but you can also argue Unexpected. You can also argue, what? You can argue Unexpected Journey is the best. of what of Volume 3, but you can also argue Walking with the Answer is the best. War and Becoming King, the final chapter, is good, obviously, but it's just pretty much tactics fighting Aratat through pretty much for the majority of the book. But the end of the book is pretty sick too, though. Obviously, but the worst chapter in Volume 3 is probably the last chapter, War and Becoming King, or Secret Council and Surprising Arrival. I'd say Secret Council and Surprising Arrival is the worst chapter in Volume 3. And second worst is War and Becoming King. Then Unexpected Journey is probably a close second. And the best one's Walking with the Ancestors. Walking with the Ancestors is an amazing chapter, man. That chapter is sick. You guys will see that when you read the book. You know what I'm saying? And then by time period, once Peter Jackson finishes my book, obviously, that thought will finally cross his mind. It will be like, he's finished the book. He's like, holy shit, what a story, man. Ivan took me for a ride like no other author has before. Yeah, this book is better than J.R.R. Tolkien's book. I was a lot more entertained and hooked reading Ivan's book than I was reading J.R.R. Tolkien's book. Even though J.R.R. Tolkien wrote a masterpiece, his world is amazing. It's a little bit boring, yeah. And it's a drag to read, yes. You know what I'm saying? At the same time, Lord of the Rings was a fucking drag to adapt. I guarantee Lord of the Rings was a drag for Peter Jackson to adapt, man. Peter Jackson's okay. How the fuck are we supposed to adapt this kind of story? We're gonna have to cut out a lot of scenes. We're gonna have to call a lot of scenes, call a lot of characters. Yes, Lord of the Rings is a tough book to adapt, man. As Peter Jackson only adapted like 20% of J.R.R. Tolkien's world, J.R.R. Tolkien's book. He took 20% of what's in the book and he made it into an adaptation. As you can't adapt the whole thing, it's crazy. It's you can't follow Lord of the Rings 100%. You can't. It's too much stuff going on every page. Too many lands. Too many characters. It's crazy. You know what I'm saying? And then that thought will finally cross Peter Jackson's mind. Yeah, I see Ivan's point now. If Ivan puts 9 Imminauts towards this kind of story and he acts as Prince Tactius, VJ is Lithia, his the sweetheart Lithia. You know what I'm saying? And he puts 400 million towards special for the world building of the North and the South. Yeah, I can picture this story, this kind of story talking my living shows. Yes, man. Yes, that's how good my Zane story is. I wrote a masterpiece, guys. I wrote a fucking masterpiece. Yeah, man. Yeah, I can see the Zane story topping my Lord of the Rings trilogy, yes. By a slim margin. It won't beat it up by a lot. No, it'll be close, man. As Lord of the Rings is a masterpiece. It's very, very tough to top that trilogy. And that's why when I say it'll top Lord of the Rings, guys, I'm saying by a slim margin. Just like I think Two Towers is a little bit better than Fellowship of the Ring. Not much better. It's very, very close, but I think Two Towers is a little bit better. Just like Zane's will be a little bit better than Lord of the Rings. Because it's a better story than Lord of the Rings. And one reason why, I'll show my camera here.